All right, welcome 224. We're going to talk about your paper project for a little bit. You should have all of the plates you need in order to do your estimating. So I'm going to show you how to set up your Excel sheet in order to get the information to me. After looking at it, especially since everything's going to be virtual, it looks like everything should just be done in a single Excel sheet. I'll show you how. It should be pretty straightforward and easy. So I'm going to jump over to a blank Excel sheet and I'm going to show you how to get started from there. So now, hopefully you see this Excel sheet. I sort of played around with one to begin with, but I'm going to start over just so you can see really what's happening here. So if we come over here to the beginning, you're going to want to get some labels down. I'm going to start with the plate because we're going to go by the plate numbers. So I'm going to go and put those in real quick. I believe we go through 19. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so we've got all of our plate numbers here. Let me come up here. I'm going to center those up just to help with organizing. And then over here, I'm going to put down my material, which is either going to be 1x3. I know all the plates do say 1x4 on them, but we're actually going to use 1x3 for everything. So beyond 1x3, we're also going to need Luan. That's going to be for anything flat related. And then we've got 2x4 and 3/4 inch plywood. We'll do that. I'm also going to insert a row. I want to do my 1x3s first, and then I'm going to say a plywood sweep because we're going to have a lot of those as well. So now for every one of your plates, you can go through, and this is how we're going to start doing your material. Actually, we're going to use this for your cut list first. So I'm going to label this as cut list. You can even come down here to the sheet. Let's see. I know there we are. So I just double clicked that and I'm calling it cut list. So now I'm just going to make up some examples here. I'm going to say to start, this is a 4x8 flat. So we're going to need 2 at 4 feet dash 0 inches. And now this is going to be the tricky part, but if you hold down the Alt key and hit enter, it gives you a new line within that same cell box. So then I can also go to at 7 feet 10.5 inches, Alt enter, 3 at 3 feet 10.5 inches. So now I've got this whole block right here that is everything I would need to do a standard flat. I'm going to say that I need 1 sheet of Luan and I don't need anything else for either of those. So that's what I would do for plate 1. I can come down to plate 2 here and say this is one of our curved flats, and this is what's going to mess with you guys a little bit, is for each one of the curved flats, your stiles are still going to be out of 1x3, and then all of your rails and toggles will be out of the curved material or the plywood sweep. So for this one, I'm going to do another 4x8, but it's going to be curved. So I'm going to say 2 at 7 foot 10.5 inches. And I can scoot over here. I don't know why that decided to highlight that one, but I can go in and remove hyperlink to at 7 foot 10.5. So I'm just giving myself some more room here on these. So for my plywood sweeps, that would be 2 at 4 feet 0 inches, Alt and Enter. 3 at 3 foot 10.5 inches. And there's that. And another 1 sheet of Luan. With the Luan, I don't need specific numbers on everything. Just estimate-ish, say you're a half sheet if it's like a 4x4, or if it's a full sheet, just say it's a 4x8. That's as picky as I'm going to be with the Luan for now. Mostly I just want you to worry about your frames. Same thing with your 2x4 and your plywood. If you're making, let's say plate 3 is a 4x8 platform, that would be 2 at 4 feet 0 inches, Alt Enter. 2 at, what is that, 7 foot 9 inches, and Alt Enter. 3 at 3 feet 9 inches, and then 1 sheet of plywood. So now I can go across and I see for plate 1, this is everything that I'm going to need for that, and I can squeeze that up a little tighter. There we go. So that is my first plate right there. This is my second plate here, third plate, and so on, moving all the way down here. So this is how I'm going to have you give me your cut lists for all of your plates. Once that's done, we're going to go down here. You've got this little plus sign, is to add a sheet 2. We're going to call that your estimate. Come up here, estimate, and then we're going to do the same deal. We're going to start with your plate, and that's going to go 1, 2, 3. There we are. So we've got all of our plates. And again, we're going to go with our 1x3, our sweeps. And then we had Luan, we had 2x4, and we had plywood. So now this is the difference between your estimate and your cut list. Is for, oh, I need to add a few more things here. I actually, there we go. I need to give myself an extra line in between everything. So sweeps, Luan, 2x4, and plywood. This will make sense in a minute. So now that I have that, I need to add up my total number for the entire plate. And I want to do this in 16-foot lengths. So if I go back and I look at my first plate here, I've got 2 at 4 feet. So those 2 together give me 8 feet, which is half of 16. So that's half of a board right there. These 2 at 7 foot 10.5, I'm going to round those up to 8 feet. So 2 of those put together is 1 full board. So that's going to be 1.5 for what I've got right here so far. Plus these 3 that are at 3 foot 10.5, I'm going to call them 4. So 3 times 4 feet gives me 12 feet, which is 3/4 of a board. So I've got 2 1/4 boards that I would need for this flat here. So if I come over here, and I would say 2.25, enter. And of course, I forgot one more. Why did it do it there? That's where I want it. I need one more column here for quantity. For the most part, this is going to be fairly straightforward, but there's going to be a couple plates that say like build 9. You can do a cut list for a single flat, and then in your material estimating, that's when we'll go through and account for that added material. So we've got that, we've got one of those and nothing over here so far. If I come back here, look at plate 2, those 2 gives me one board. So I'm just going to start with that and say 1. And for my sweeps, I've got 2 at 4 feet and 3 at 4 feet. So I've got, for the sweeps, those are not out of 16 feet. Those are out of an 8-foot max. So I've got 1 here and another 1.5 here, because those 3 times 4 gives me 12 feet, divided by 8 gives me 1.5, plus this one gives me 2.5. So I'm going to come over here to my sweeps and say 2.5 and another singular sheet of Luon. Then if I go and look at my third plate here, this pretty much all of these are almost going to equal my 1x3 counts. It's just in 2x4 instead. So I'm just going to copy that over here for plate 3, where I need that 2.25. And then instead of Luon, I'm going to need 1 piece of plywood. So from here, I'm going to start showing you some formulas to help get all of this in place, so you can see how this really works and how this whole spreadsheet will do all of the math for you. So to start, I want to go here to row D, and I'm going to type in and watch right up here. It'll do all of this for you. I'm going to say that equals, I'm looking for this column here, B3. So I'm just going to type in B3, and then I'm going to say multiplied by C3. Hit enter. Right now it tells me 0, but as soon as I put a 1 in here, that changes. So now I can go in and I'm going to copy this formula. So Control C, highlight it all the way down, and then do Control V. And you'll notice as I click through these and watch here, my numbers change to match the row that I've pasted it into. So it's already doing all of the thinking for me. Now if I go and type in 1 here and 1 here, this updated, but I haven't done any other formulas yet, so I'm going to do those first. So I'm going to say equals, and now I'm talking about the sweeps. So I want to get the total number of sweeps needed for this. So I'm looking at E3 times B3. So I'm just going to say B3 times E3. Oh, I see. B3 times E3. Sorry about the typos. Now hit enter. That gets me that. So now I'm going to copy and paste and watch right here, since I've already got some info in here for this. Paste, and it already updates that formula for me. So now I'm going to do this all the way across. Equals B3 times G3 is my Luon. And then again, copy, paste. B3 times I3. Then I'm going to copy, paste, and now equals B3 times K3. Now copy, paste. Now for my next trick, if I go to formulas, I'm going to go down here, and this is my total for 1 by 3. So I'm going to say auto sum right here. I just click that. It picks the whole section, except I want it to avoid these last two columns. So see right here where it says D3 to D23. I really want that to only go to 21. So I can just go up here and change that to 21. And now you see how it's only highlighted those sections right there. That's all I need, and hit enter. Now it gives me that total, and just for my sanity, the row right above this, I'm going to say 1 by 3 total. 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 2 by 4 total. And apply total. Now I'm just going to come in and auto sum each one of those and change that to 21. Auto sum. Auto sum. 1. And auto sum to 21. So now I've got all this done here, and now I'm going to go in and just add some random numbers into some of these. So let's say that takes 4 and 8 and 3 sheets here. And I'm building one of those. So as soon as I hit enter, all of these total columns are going to update. And it's also changing down here. So I'm going to do this again. Except for plate 5, it either says build to, or the other thing you might notice is something that says R and R. R and R is for reverse and repeat. So what that means is I'm starting with one flat that looks just like this. And then after I build one that looks just like this, I need to build a mirror image of it that'll look just like this. Takes the exact same amount of lumber and everything, it's just a mirror image. So as far as estimating, that's just saying right over here that I'm building 2. And I'm going to say build 2, but then I'm only going to estimate the lumber for one of them. So say this flat takes 5 1x3s and 12 sweeps and 4 sheets of Luon. And something's weird about it, so we're using some 2x4 on it as well. So we need 3 2x4s and 2 sheets of plywood. As I've gone through all of that, you've seen that even though I'm just using 2 sheets per unit because I'm building 2 of those, I now need 4 sheets. Or you might go back and realize, oh, instead of 2, I actually need to build 4. I go back and I change that, and you'll see everything update here. So now it has done all of this math for me, which is exactly what we want it to do. So now we're going to come in and we're going to add a few more numbers down here just to help do all of the math for you. We're going to start by saying 1/3 cost. The sweep cost is going to be something weird. I'll show you that in a minute, so I'm skipping that. So Luon cost, 2/4 cost, and apply cost. This was also in that paperwork I gave you. I believe 1/3 is actually going to be 1/12. And I'll show you some more with that in a minute. So the 1/12, I believe, was something like $24.99. It might be a little different, but this is the beauty of putting things in formulas, is I can update it later. The Luon cost is $14.99. I think I'm making up some numbers, so double check this stuff before you just use it. But this is also a nice way to update things as, say, your lumber prices change. I can set up this formula once, do something like this, and then as I get new quotes for every show, I can just put in my new lumber cost and what I need for each plate, and it'll update everything for me because especially within the past couple of years, lumber prices have gone through the roof. So estimating at one cost and assuming it's still going to be that is not all that great of an idea. So this is our way to update that. But now what do I do with this cost? I'm going to go through and do my actual lumber costs. So I'm going to go back in and see what it's going to cost me for each type of wood. So 1/3 is going to be the trickiest formula we have, so please pay attention to this. 1/3, you can get 4 sticks out of a 1/12 because you've got that nice wide board, and then we're going to make them skinny boards. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, all out of that one wide board. So this is where this formula is going to get a little tricky. So watch up here as I type this in. I'm going to say, I'm looking, you want to start with parentheses. We want this one little part of the formula built out before we expand in with the rest. So just like algebra, order of operations, Excel will pay attention to that, and whatever's in the parentheses, it will do first before it adds to the rest of it. So I've got my 1/3 total is under D24. So I'm going to come up here and say D24. Yep, that should have it. Divided by, why is it not paying attention to that? We're going to try this again. D24 divided by, divided by 4. What's going on? Let's try to take it out of the parentheses and see if that helps. Oh, I know exactly what I did. I forgot to hit equals. That's telling it it's doing a formula. D24 divided by 4. There we go. So now it's taking this number here, dividing it by 4 because we can get 4 of them within that singular board. And now I need to multiply that by D27 because that is our cost. Now if I hit enter, that's saying for what we have here, it's going to cost $170.24. But the other thing that I like to do is here we've got a total, I'm going to go ahead and add in one more line. There we go. So I'm going to say this is the total needed, and now I'm going to say 1 by 3 ordered, and I'm going to do that for everything. Ordered, ordered, 2 by 4 ordered, I I'm doing this because I cannot order 27¼ boards. So if I go in and I'm going to change this formula to look for D26 instead of D24. And now this is the part I'm going to manually put in. And instead of 27, I'm going to say I want 28. And now it changes that number here for me. 28 still doesn't really leave me with a whole lot of extra, so I might come in and say that I want to order 30 instead. That's part of just figuring out what you want your numbers to be. So now we're going to set up this formula again for a couple different things. We're going to go in here for our Luan cost, and that is going to equal H26 times H28. And instead of this 21, I'm going to say, let's go ahead and order 24. Now that's updated. And now sweeps, instead of this 58½, I'm going to order 60. I'm doing that because here in a minute that's going to play into this. I know I'm going a little out of order, I'm sorry. 2 by 4s. We've got 14¼ we'll order 15. So this equals J26 times J28. Sure. And now this is going to be the one that's a little tricky because our plywood sweeps are still just made out of plywood. So I don't need 2 separate categories. I just need to do some more funky math. So this is another one to pay attention to because we're going to say this equals, and then my sweeps are going to be, what is that? F26 divided by 5, because we can get 5 into a sheet of plywood. And then we're going to add L26, because that's the full sheets that we're going to need for other things. And then I also need to cap off. Oh, I messed up. I need 2 more parentheses up here because I want it to do all of this first. So it's going to take this F26 divided by 5 plus L26, and then that's going to multiply by, what is that? L28. L28. Enter. And now that's going to give me my cost for both my sweeps and all of my plywood. Now that that is all set up, I'm going to come down here to a total line and one more formula where I'm just going to take these lines and put them all together. So I'm going to say that equals, that is D30 plus H30 plus J30 plus L30. Enter. So right now, with what I have made up for this show, I'm going to be spending $1,078.67 is what we're looking at here. But wait, I've gone through and I've figured out that I have a supplier that will give me my Luon for $12.99 instead of $14.99. I can just go in, change that one number, and then watch down here as it does all the math to change everything else for me. So it takes a little minute to set all this up, but once you have it done, it's easy to go in. I'm gonna make up some numbers here, and then you can see how all of this updates as I go. So let's say 3, 5, 2. Oh, I see why it's not updating, because I need to still change a number in here for it to update. So I'm still going to put in a few things and you'll see this line change. So let's go 5, 7, 3. These next two are just some 2x4s and some plywood. And 3. So all of these numbers have updated. So those are my totals. I now need 40 1/4 1x3s. So 1x3 ordered is going to be 42. Good number. And now all of this is going to start changing as I bump up these numbers to match accordingly. 29, so we'll say 32. Instead of 53, we'll do 55. And instead of 27, we're going to order 30. So you can now see how my total has definitely jumped up based off of what I'm working on. But this is all I need in order to see what's going on with this whole worksheet. And it's easy enough to go back and make some tweaks and follow all this to see what's going on. If you want, you can also box some of this out. If I go back to home, I can put a border around all of this. I can put this as my lumber total, so I might want a big border around that. And then here is my pricing. So I've sort of organized this a little bit better just by putting some boxes around it so I can see the different things that I'm working on and thinking about. And then I can go through and give myself a nice big grand total down here at the bottom. Hopefully this shows you what I'm looking for in the spreadsheet. And I put both the estimating here on one tab and my cut lists here on another tab. So as long as you just send me that one document for your entire paper project once you're done, that should be everything I need in order to go through it and grade it. Let me know if you guys have any questions, but that should be what you're looking for, and that should take care of everything you need. And once you got that done, that should take care of everything for you. Just give me a call if you need any questions. Thank you.